For this episode of Merchant Meetings, we have with us Bombr. He is the personalised shoe guy.
There it is.
And we're going to discuss his story of essentially moving from the UK and bringing an idea of doing custom shoes back to Australia and sort of his journey and experiences in that process. So, Bombr, thank you for joining us today.
Wow, thanks for having me. I love having you guys in here.
I appreciate it. Bombr is also heavily involved with the 27 project. I'm allowed to say owner, right?
Co-owner.
Beautiful. Yeah. And so Bombr does customize shoes. For those of that you don't know Bombr, I'm pretty sure everyone knows Bombr. We were just discussing this morning. T's mum knows Bombr.
Yeah, like, if you've seen those stickers around the West, maybe there's more elsewhere, but it's the one where it's got the cap and then the lips and the no eyes, and it's just his face. That's Bombr.
I feel like I knew Bombr way before I knew it was you.
I'd be going on a walk and I'm like, there's that guy's sticker again.
Yeah, at first I'm like, oh, such vandalism. Like it's just everywhere. And then for a part, I'm like, you know what? This is like pretty mad personalized branding. Like I've seen this sticker for years consistently. So yeah, it's a pretty cool thing. And we will get into the personal brand side of things because that plays a big part in your business.
Yep.
So could you kind of give us a bit of a timeline? So you were at Paddy's, Dom's. And you were on track to become a professional footballer.
Yes, correct. So I moved overseas. Actually, I went over to England for my first trial at Blackburn Rovers at 15. And then from there, it was just trials, and then got settled down with a team in Stockport. I was actually before that I was at Norwich City as a youth player for a bit.
Okay.
So I was in the youth team there, and then...
So someone originally saw you from Australia. How did that even work that you ended up...
So I was playing on the highest level here.
Okay.
Before the A-League. So I was playing at the highest level here.
Because the A-League didn't exist yet.
Nah. Oh, I think it was just starting.
Okay.
And at 16, I made my debut in the first grade here in Marconi. Wow. And they were the top team at the time. Yep. And I remember that day, I'll quickly get through it, but I played under 16s, under 18s. I played under 18s. I skipped the 16s, played under 18s, played resis, and then the first grade coach said, "Oh, you played good that game. How about jump in with the first grade?" I'm going, So played games.
So you're under 16 and then you trial for the 18s and the reserve squad and then the coach is saying, just jump into the first grade.
So I knew I was doing decent because I got my first grade run at 16. And then from there, there's always agents and stuff lurking around, the top tier level here. And just found an agent who was working with a few of the top players at the time. And then you had a connection overseas, and that's how we were sent over there.
I know you're kind of playing this down, but like I assume for you at the time, like getting a potential call up from a scout to go over to the UK, which obviously a lot more money in football.
Yep.
Like, what does it feel like? Do you get a letter? Do you get an email? Is there an
it's
interview?
Weird. I had a meeting at Panthers, the club there.
Yep.
They
just called you in.
This guy from the city goes, "Oh man, I've seen your son play. I've seen there's also a DVD that my dad used to give to scouts and whatnot." But yeah, he called us in and we had a meeting at Panthers or RSL. I don't know if that's what they call it. But yeah, I remember that. And then 2 weeks later, I was on a plane.
Wow.
Yeah.
So like I feel like if this was me, we're sitting around, I guess the family dinner table, we're already mapping out like who gets the Lamborghini first.
Yeah.
Like how did that sort of feel? Like,
oh yeah, you think that's gonna be it.
Yeah.
Like I thought, but this is it. I know I'm probably one of the best players here, and I've always had that mentality. Anything I do, I have to be the best at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I went over there, I thought, yeah, man, this is it. This is my life, and little did I know it's not easy. I think it's 1 in every 250,000 gets a pro contract.
That is in a development squad over in England. So so it's probably even less of a chance to even get that call.
Exactly. So what happens in the youth team there, this is what happened to me at a few clubs, is that you get a youth team and then 2 boys out of a squad of 18, I'm pretty sure, get a pro contract. And then 9 times out of 10, those 2 boys get loaned out to another club and get tested there. And then the manager's looking in the background, watching tapes and everything like that and seeing how they're doing away from the club.
Wow.
So then they get brought back, and then you have to prove yourself within the same club you were just at to have a consistent role in the team.
Wow.
That's just not easy. And like, I learned the hard way there, but man, what an experience. I learned so much and met some awesome people.
And so this is at the age of 15, 16, you've moved over to the UK.
Yep. And then I was just back and forth to, I was 21, 22. Yeah, I come back because of some family stuff that was going on here.
Yep.
And then started a lot more injuries because back then also there wasn't so much what do they call it, like injury prevention, anything like that. We just train, man. Like I was doing 3 sessions a day,
Wow.
and then like, sometimes like not all the time, but if I knew I had a game, I wouldn't do 3 sessions a day. But yeah, 9 times out of 10, I'd be always out there kicking the ball about, doing some sprints, weights, just trying to be the best I could be.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole Rocky Balboa mentality was such a hindrance on players like me because we didn't realize what harm we're doing to our body.
For sure.
And man, yeah, just
And I guess that they're all talented boys, right?
yeah,
And so I guess, you know, where talent really shines through, obviously you'll have those people, I guess, progress, but work ethic is going to be the thing that I guess separates a lot of people. So
Yeah.
that's what you had. That's the lever you had. Like you're as talented as you are, and hopefully that takes you the whole way. But usually it's going to be work ethic that really gives you, you know, puts you in the right, I guess, eyesight of the people that are selecting and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, exactly. I just feel like what I learned with that is balance,
Mm.
because you can work your ass off and work yourself into the ground, but what good does that do in the long run?
Yeah,
You
there's-
burn out. You start people start resenting you because you're not around enough, and all these collective matters. Man, like balance was the major thing that if I could go back in time, you know, it looks good in hindsight, but if I could go back in time, I'd make sure everything was structured and scheduled
Yeah.
to, you know, get the best I could out of what was going on.
Yeah. I heard someone say the other day, they said optimization goes out the window if it's not sustainable.
Exactly, man. That's massive.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's a good one.
And yeah, I was like, yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
Because like we consistently try and optimize things, but it's just like if you're optimizing into an area that can't be sustained, it's actually not optimal.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, sometimes you take such a narrow vision on things and say, I'm going to pull this lever, I'm going to pull this lever, I'm going to pull this lever. And it's just like, yeah, but there's, you know, there's a whole foundation that needs to be set before any of that can be continuously upheld.
Yeah.
And so at 15, are you moving over with a family member?
So first of all, yeah, my dad come over with me, and what happens overseas is, for first of all, for the first 6 months, I was just trialing at all these different clubs, and then I could have my pick of these 3. So now I picked one. I had a contract pretty much done, and what most clubs do, they have a thing called digs, and digs is where you live with the team. It's mad. It's like a mini hotel. You get cooked. Everything gets cooked for you. Cleaning gets done. Washing gets done. Everything like that. We all have chores and roles, so it's not like it's 5-star. You have to do your job. But yeah, so the first contract was with Mansfield Town. They were non-league then, but to get your foot in the door was huge, and they had mad facilities and stuff like that. And then I come back. They had a full restructure of managers and everything like that. We had a contract written. Like as I'm getting on the plane, I'm like, yeah, sign my contract. My old man getting emotional, saying, "Yeah, I've done it. This is foot in the door." Got home, and we couldn't get in contact with this new manager. We sent him the contract, and he goes, "Nah, man, we didn't like this guy. I know his name, but I don't want to say it." But he's like, "Oh, he didn't tell me about you. So what? I can't do anything. I didn't know what was in play." But the president of the club was going to let me live with him. That's how bad they wanted me at the club.
Wow.
And then I don't know what went on, man, but they had a thing where they said, "Nah, I don't know this kid, so I'm not taking him in."
Wow.
And then I had to start again. It was like,
And you're over there. So
and I was over then. So I've done the 15 to about 16, and then moved back over there and started again. Went on trial again, at all these different clubs, and done it again. And then I was at Norwich City for a bit.
So hold on 2 seconds. So
Right.
you were over that, like say 15, this new manager's come in and said, no, don't know him.
Yeah.
And you came back to Australia and
Okay.
had to get scouted again.
So what happens is once you get your foot in the door,
Yep.
there's like a system where they know you're Australian kid on trial there.
Right.
So I pretty much can just contact the agent. Agent contacts the club.
Yes.
This guy's coming for a 6-week trial. Can he come in? Yeah, sweet. If they don't need you, they say, "No, we don't have any positions available."
And then the agent contacts other clubs.
Other clubs.
Okay. Right,
Just some,
right. But still,
all
it's
of
a
those.
massive kick. Like,
mate. When you've been working your ass off and you think, yeah, you've done it,
yeah.
to go, sorry, mate.
Someone's giving you a word, you've got a contract.
Bro, I was playing with them 2 games a week and then 2 sessions a day,
Wow.
and then driving 45 minutes back and forth from the hotel.
Mm.
And it was just, and sorry, it wasn't just that club I was at. I'll do Mansfield Town 2 sessions a day, and then I'd go trial at Rochdale in Manchester that night.
Mm.
So I'll be like a little bit fatigued trying to get my contract at another club just in case this one falls through, because you just don't know what goes on. Man, I learned the hard way because you don't realize how hard it is to become a professional footballer in England.
Yeah, and even as a young guy though, like you would have some sort of responsibility because you'd feel it towards your dad. Like if you've both gone over there.
He's paying for everything.
Yeah.
So
So like yeah, you're not just like I guess you're not in England just going to different I guess trials that your manager's setting up.
yeah,
You're in England with your dad who's
He's
obviously
taking time off
sacrificed a
work.
lot. Man, yeah, that's a lot of pressure
hurt
for a
me,
young
man.
guy.
Oh, 100%. So that's why I learned to deal with pressure real young.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty, what they call it, like calcified, like with all that stuff. I'm chilled.
No, that's really
Comes
good
to
though.
that now.
Yeah, your ability to handle stress is massive in business as
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
which obviously we can get to.
Yeah, that's it.
So you're in the UK, and you had a massive injury, and you had some family reasons that you needed to end up moving back.
Yeah.
Like this might be a little bit personal, but when do you cut off the goal to say, okay, I don't think this is going to happen?
Probably if the whole situation that was going on, so I'll open up a video. I'm not too fast because I'm chill with this situation. I come back. My mum had 6 weeks to live. I come back from the UK. And my mum had 6 weeks to live. She ended up going for another 6 months, so it was mad. Like it was good. It was like it was meant to be. So I hung out with her, had my time with her, this and that. And then through that, I'm like, England's. I'll need to be here with my mum and my family.
Yeah.
England's kind of just. I'm gonna push that to the side for now. The club that I was at, which I won't name, they were going to shit. They just invested like millions of dollars, and then they found out all this dodgy stuff was going. So a lot of boys are losing contracts, whatever. So I was like, okay, I can push that to the side. And me and my family, I'll go try and get my foot in the A-League. Might as well.
Yeah.
All my mates are here. I played with them before. I can easily get that done. But they didn't even look at me. They didn't look at me.
What, because your age?
I
or
reckon it was the, what do they call it?
Politics.
Politics and tall poppy syndrome. They go, oh, this kid probably thinks he's top shit.
Yeah.
Played England, playing 2 games a week, played FA Cup, this and that. Probably thinks he's a top dog. Let's not worry about him. But then I went back to Marconi, the club I've always played at, and dislocated my other knee. And it was like all these things happening. My old man literally said to me, he goes, mate, I want you to walk when you're 30. He goes, I know how hard you push your body. I think it's time to call it a day.
Wow.
But then transitioned into the next thing, which was coaching.
Like again, you don't have to answer this. It's kind of personal, but like it's pretty like an impactful story, and I don't think many people, I guess, would get to walk in your shoes and experience this. But did you have any feelings towards your dad, resentment, or did you understand where he's coming from when he says like, "Let's call it a day"?
No, bro, my dad's honest as, and he even till this day he kind of feels guilty that he pushed me too hard. But I loved every single session, every single hour I spent with him. It was just like. No, not many dads do that with their sons and kids. That was a blessing to me.
Yeah.
And to be overseas and traveling, we had the best time, man. So it was amazing for me. For my dad to tell me that, he's always looking out for me. So I knew that he's just being honest and he's having my back. And he was always like, worst case, I'm always going to be all right, whatever I do. Because he knows I have that mentality to be all right with that stuff.
And I guess like to be able to have the gratitude that you got that chance at taking a shot, like that's such a massive thing.
Yeah,
Like,
man.
every dad watching their kid, like on a Saturday, going down to soccer or football, hopes that their son, has a shot at it.
Yeah.
And it's just like whether you make it or not, okay, that's like probably a probability, a luck thing.
Yep.
Finding the right decision maker at the right time. There's things like uncontrollables.
Yeah.
Yeah. But to have the shot and to go through that with your dad, that's pretty mad. Like
Yeah, man.
That's awesome.
That was like it's all part of the story, and that to have that in a few chapters of my story is mad. And he's sat in the stands watching me do some crazy stuff on the field and sit back, and he's lived his life through me.
He's got
And
memories.
bro, he'll get emotional like watching our old tapes of me playing and that, because he knew that that was like our life. We lived and breathed footy like no other thing. But yeah, man, and for him to say that to me was just honest, and he knew if I kept going, I was just going to be riddled with more and more injuries, and in the long run, I wouldn't be able to do anything. It's only now that I'm sweet to squat and leg press and all these kind of things now at the gym. I'm okay now because I looked after my body.
And mobility is like one of the biggest things. Like you push your body when you're young. I think like I probably have in some instances too. And like sometimes you end up with injuries that just don't sort of change. So it's good that you had someone that, had a bit of wisdom and had a bit of foresight and said, hey man, just hold back. I want, you've got a long life ahead of you type thing.
Of course.
And so you picked up the concept of custom shoes. So this is obviously finding luxury brands I don't know how much I can push on this, but like finding, I guess, leather bags or, high custom quality goods that you can rework into a shoe that's obviously already popular, has demand behind it, and then create a limited edition, a one of one
Yep.
type, I guess, shoe that has the luxury feel integrated with it.
Yep.
Maybe that's the way I can word
Yeah,
it.
that was really good. Good stuff, bro.
And so this concept you picked up off a friend over there.
Yeah, so my mate Ryan Still, we played a Stockport together. He started doing it, and I was like, bro, this is gun. And he was young, so he used to flex, like, not that it was to do with numbers with me. Obviously, you want to make a living on it, but he used to flex his numbers to us. I'm like, you make that much doing this? And he's like, yeah, bro. But I've always been drawing sneakers and creating stuff, like, from a young age. I'm like, this is my thing.
Yeah.
And like I was saying to you before we jumped on this, I used to always bring back the freshest kicks from England. There was no JD, nothing like that here. We had our Foot Lockers and whatever else, but I used to have the freshest kicks. I used to go to Foot Asylum, I go JD and bring back these kicks, and everyone go, bro, where'd you get your Air Maxes, or where'd you get these from? And it was really from England. But yeah, Ryan gave me the idea. He goes, bro, run with this. And I had it on the back burner for years. So I come back and I was like, oh, no one really likes sneakers here. And I made a custom sneaker page. I remember where we were. We're driving in the back of Wollongong, and I was sitting in the back of the car, and Instagram just started popping. I'm like, oh, I made a page. It was like custom sneakers by B or something. And I left that page for years. And then it wasn't until I was doing all the coaching stuff and not getting sick of it, but I needed something to be creative with, because I've always been an artist, always been drawing. To do that and be creative and still make some kind of money, because it was just a hobby. I was like, I'll do this as a hobby and be fun. It would be fun for me to see people wear stuff that I've made. That's cool.
Yes.
So that's still the emphasis I have on it now, is seeing people wear a one-of-a-kind kick, one-of-a-kind custom that I've made on their feet, and feel like, mad, like, this is mad. I know this guy's cut and sewn this for me.
That's mad, yeah. And so I think you often hear like the big business gurus, after they've made, tens, hundreds of millions, and, you ask a Steve Jobs or what's the dude that owns Apple? That is Steve Jobs.
Yep.
Who's the other guy? Jeff Bezos. I always hear like that clip getting played. What advice would you give to a young person? And they always say, make sure you choose something that you're passionate about it, because it can get so hard that if you're not passionate about it, you won't see it through. And I don't know if I completely agree with it. I mean, going against Jeff Bezos here, but I don't necessarily think that you need to be passionate about whatever business that you start, because I don't know how many people are passionate about, like, doing your, what is it, laundry, dry? What's the laundry cleaners?
What? A dry mat? Oh,
Yeah, a dry mat. What?
Yeah.
I'm lost for words with it.
I don't know.
A laundromat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the laundromat businesses, like non-sexy businesses, can make huge amounts of money. I don't know who's passionate about like laundromats, but it's a business that works and makes money. So or a car wash.
I heard of someone the other day that started a baby formula business and is a multi-millionaire.
Exactly. And maybe it was like, I don't know, the best thing for the babies. Maybe they could be passionate about it, but probably unlikely. And so I do think there is a side of business, if it makes numbers sense, it can just be a good business. That you don't necessarily need to be passionate about it. But I think in that creative like space, I think the people that enjoy what they do the most and have a real chance at growing something are the people that are passionate about it. So I think there's like that small difference. And I think like watching you describe that, like you can tell that you would have just kept doing it whether you were getting paid huge amounts from it or not.
Still do it. Yeah, I'd do it. Yeah, if I wasn't getting paid for it.
And I think that's the type of passion that people like need to pick up on. It's just like,
100%.
I would do this because I enjoy it. Like whether this makes me $1,000 a week or $10,000 a week, it's like whether this stays as a side hustle that I always enjoy, I'm going to keep doing it. Like I think that type of passion is a really good aspect to carry into business.
Yeah, 100%. It's what fulfills you. Like what actually makes you, when you've done all these things during the day that's just ticking over and you have to get done, at the end of the day, what are you thinking about? Like what fulfills you to get up the next day to have a crack at? And me, it's just fashion, man. Right now, it's just sneakers, and where myself and Nick are helping one of our close mates, Seta. It's the brand I got on now. All that stuff collectively, I'm still being creative.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it fulfills me so much, and I would not change it for anything.
And I think that's probably like the real discussion around business, right? Like it's not how much money that you make out of it in a lot of senses. Like if you worked at Bunnings, nothing wrong with Bunnings, but you work there 5 days a week and you still got to do what you do,
It's fine.
yes, when you come home and
Yeah.
then you can do the creative stuff on the weekend, it's like if you're still willing to do that, that's so much more fulfilling. And then I get that's speaking from like a position of privilege or luxury because
Yeah.
we're in Australia.
Yeah.
The fact that we could have a retail-based job and still have a chance at doing our dreams, or the fact that if you had a family, you may have to have the bunning jobs
Yeah.
for stability, and then you get a chance at that. But I think that's the real part that people need to pick up.
100%. And even there's a good lesson in that, what you're saying there, bro, is even for these young lads that are coming up, and I've noticed it because even me, I was like kind of in that generation with the instant gratification stuff. And what you're saying there is so spot on because sometimes you can't do
What you
what you love straight off the bat and make a living.
or someone's not going to pay you for it because you're not good
Exactly.
enough yet.
So
Yeah.
just do it, chip away at it, and I guarantee you, it's gonna somehow falls into your lap.
Yeah.
That's how it works, right? If you do it enough times or enough repetitions of what you love, you're like, out of nowhere, you're at a cafe, you're shaking hands with someone. What do you do? I'll do this. Oh, come help me do a shoot. I'll pay you. It happens all the
It
time,
does,
right?
yeah.
So
And you have to be in business to have the chance of that happening. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like, but I think to have the audacity to say, I'm going to do something I love from the start, you just need to know what that entails. And I think like if you can balance that with Bomber clearly loves what he's doing here and would keep doing it, whether he was getting paid a huge amount of money or not. That's the type of like, I think part you need to hold on when people say, do what you're passionate about. It's like work at Bunnings and still be able to do the thing that you want to do and you're happy. It's like there's nothing like there's no direct correlation with you do something you're passionate about and you make huge amounts of money. There are some that get to do that, which is amazing. And I think that's what we all cheer on when someone that's passionate and actually does succeed. That's great. But success can look a little bit different as well. Because I think there's a lot of young guys that would look at your business and go, that's mad. I want to do that too. And it's like, but just like don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Nah.
Just like with the football thing,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
You actually had the talent, you had the passion. It just there was circumstances in life, uncontrollables, that meant that you couldn't do that. And so it's just like be passionate about the thing that you're doing, but also have stability. And like your dad even told you, take that realistic approach when you need to. Like I think like that part about talking about business has been somewhat missed.
Yeah.
It's like there is a real reality. There's a real timeline that people have to work within. As soon as you have a family, like your responsibility and stuff change.
Yeah.
And so I think people lean away from listening to the business motivation stuff because I think they miss that concept because they're like, I could never do that. Do you remember with what time, with what money?
Yeah.
Because they have, I guess, reduced their chances of taking risk with the family life that they've got.
And what time do they have?
Exactly.
So all that adds into one thing, doesn't it?
Yeah. And so I think like if you were to give those extra hours from 10 p.m. to 12,
There's always time, right?
5 days a week,
Exactly.
you still get your 7.5 hours.
Another thing we spoke about, when you crunch those little numbers down, they all add up.
Exactly. And if you're passionate, you won't see it as work.
Nope.
And I think that's where like you can make a hobby like the actual thing that you enjoy, but a business.
Yep.
And I think if more people and I think it's going to become a necessity eventually, because the way that inflation is going along, the way that people are getting pushed to work harder and harder, become more efficient, this is the capitalism model. I think if people could find things they were passionate about, not see it as work, and then, they'd actually have a chance of, I guess, having a business and having something that like provides them the life that they need as well.
Yeah.
And if the side hustle starts to take off, cool, then make the transition at the right time.
Bro, I never thought I'd be doing what I'm doing.
Exactly.
Not in a million years. I thought I'd be running my soccer academy, just having this earning, which I did love. And then on the side, making sneakers because that was my passionate thing that I was doing. I was staying creative, staying true to myself.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, I got my own studio with 3 of my closest mates. I work out of here. And every day I'm meeting new people and successful people, It's mad.
It's cool, yeah. So it's like you have to be in business to have the opportunity of these things happening, but taking a realistic approach, which I think goes back to that whole, it's now sustainable. We can all talk about optimal, burning the boat, so you've got no choice, but I think starting from a sustainable point makes sense.
Yeah.
Like even when T met me, I don't know if I ever told you this, but like I was going to be a PE teacher. Like that's what I wanted to do. That's what I saw as if I could be a PE teacher, that would be successful to me. I always thought in my head, my dad must earn 100 grand. Like that's the thing I had in my head.
Yeah.
And so I was like, like they earn about 75 to 80. And so if I just worked, I don't know, so maybe some extra hours, or I had like a little clinic on the side where I could teach, people some extra PE or help them with the HSE or whatever. I'm like, I reckon I could get to that 100 grand. Yeah. And that's what I saw as being successful. And full credit to people that earn 100 grand like that. It's a good amount, especially in Australia. Like
Yeah.
it's not a bad goal to have, but that's all I deemed as successful in my head. And I started selling supplements out of my boot of my car.
Yeah.
And it's like, but I thought I was probably going to end up being a PE teacher. But I'm like, yeah, but if I could do this side thing as well, that might be the bridge from 80 to 100, or it might be the thing from 100 to 120. So I could exceed my expectations type thing. I think people need to take that mentality, like start with a side hustle and grow
That's
it
it,
from there.
man. And don't have any expectations. Just do it.
Yeah, could be, again, because you love it.
Yeah.
Or go mow lawns because you need the extra money because you're
That's
not getting
it.
paid enough. Like
But who knows?
these things are
What do
okay.
they call? Is it Jim's lawn mowing?
Bro, yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, I saw that guy
It
story the other
happens
day.
everywhere. I see those things everywhere. But
Yeah,
anything
100%.
could work.
Cool. So back to the UK,
Yep.
bringing the concept over. I agree. The sneaker culture over here wasn't like crazy.
Yeah.
Like I was probably a little lad running around like graphing things up in the day.
Yeah.
And TNs were not something that like people liked. It's like if you wore TNs, it's just like, oh, you're a
an ass,
scumbag.
you're a
Yeah.
lad. Yeah.
But the whole sneaker culture has changed from that now. We have like a lot of people wearing different types of TNs.
Some TNs are like $1,000 now.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And so you created the Facebook page for the custom shoes.
Yep.
How did you kind of see that culture start changing? Because we talk a lot about like being a part of emerging markets way before they happen,
Yep.
and how a lot of growth can come
Yep.
if you're there before anyone else.
So originally I was still in contact with all my friends overseas,
Mm.
and being around footballers and that, they usually have the best style because they got money. They can spend money, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
So I'm seeing all these things happening, and they're starting to wear like Jordans and stuff like that. I didn't even know what a Jordan like one was. Like
yeah,
I was just Air Max kid, TNs as well.
it was Amex's or TNs and
That
Pendants,
was
right?
us.
Yeah.
Like that's what we wore, right? But yeah, I started Facebook, but then I just opened up the Instagram,
Mm.
just a new one, and I was just on there always looking what's trending and seeing what's popping, and I was just blessed enough. So when I done my first pair and got my first LV bag, I made that and sold a few.
Mm.
I'm thinking, oh, it's all right. As the months went by, all these like resellers and stuff started popping up, and it's like, I'm like, why are these shoes selling for $500?
Mm. The secondhand shoe.
Yeah,
market.
I'm like, what's going on here? There was a demand in the shoe market already there for me,
Mm.
so I could use that for my own benefit by making the demand as well.
So these were selling pages.
Yeah, these are all
Yeah,
different
right.
pages. I'm going,
Great
they can
place to
do that.
pause. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're just doing that. What if I made a custom pair?
Mm.
Said I'm going to sell X amount, make a demand here, and then just make sure I can supply that product, and it'll be sweet. But I was also reading a lot of books, and one of the books I was reading at the time was Obey the Giant by Shepard Fairey, he started the stickers and slapping up paste ups and that.
Ah, okay.
And then also between that, I read a bit of the Supreme book and how they used to strategically make lines like a single file rather than having like a wider line, because the longer you wait in that line, the more you want that product at the end. And it's like it's like releases
scarcity
dopamine.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
release all these chemicals go through your brain. I've got the product, and then you're flexing it.
Yes. This is the whole Rolex thing, right? Like,
Exactly.
you go in and no, you can't have it. You can join a waiting list.
Yep.
And then you go find it on the second-hand watch market for double the price. The same thing's happening with sneakers.
Yeah, exactly. So seeing all that happening around me, I knew I could use that model and use that formula and make it work. And then
So that's a pretty good eye, like especially
Yeah.
because you were still young then, 21, 22?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. But I think I started customs around 24. So I started the page.
Yep.
And then didn't do nothing, like I said. I just thought, yeah. And when it started trending, I started it because I met Nick here when I was 26.
Yep.
Just turned 27. And I didn't know how Instagram was working, engagement and analytics, and what content was. I didn't even know what's content.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this is the weirdest thing because when we started making content,
Yeah.
we didn't want to say the word content because we're like, no, a business creates content for the viewers to watch.
Yeah.
Now it's just like, oh yeah, what content do you guys want to see?
Even my nan knows what content is.
But-
It's content.
And
you
it's
know?
almost like we thought that we were saying like, what marketing do you guys want to see? And they're like none. Like,
Yeah.
we don't want to see your marketing, but
Yeah.
content's just considered like, I don't know.
So yeah, man, I had that formula, but I didn't have the content to back it up.
Right.
Nicky, we laugh about it all the time, bro. I was taking photos of I had like iPhone, just taking photo with a bit of grass in the background and that, and still selling a few pairs a week, thinking this is so cool. Look how cool this photo is.
Yeah.
And then I first met him through a mutual friend. And next thing you know, we made a video together. And yeah, bro, he didn't like the first video. So I picked him up from Fox where he was working. We done a video in the city. And then, bro, the first time we sat down, we done some serious sales together. And I knew this was going to work. And so did he. And we just kept the ball rolling. And now we're here.
That's, yeah, there's a little jump there.
Yeah.
And so you're saying you didn't really understand a lot of the analytics and how the
Nah, I
socials
didn't.
working.
I didn't know that, but he taught me that.
Yes,
Because he was already big on social media.
massive on YouTube, right?
YouTube and Instagram. He had like 60,000 followers. I met him
Wow,
on
okay.
his page.
And this is about 5 or 6 years ago.
About 4 now.
Oh, okay, about
Yeah,
4.
yeah.
Okay. Oh, so this is relatively still
Yeah,
new.
man.
Wow. Okay, cool. And so I guess as you changed in the content that you're putting out, what was the real drivers for your business? Like, was it a Reels based thing? Was it just the photos because how cool the actual product looked?
So Reels wasn't a thing when we first started, but so it was all photos.
Mhm.
Oh, you could do your videos, sorry. So we done our videos, which was, pretty cool. So we pick a spot, know what we were dropping. And then that week prior to the Wednesday night drop at 7 p.m. that everyone started to know about, I'll just be, and same with Nick, we'd be pumping out content. And it was just fun for him. And he didn't charge me a cent because
Wow.
he wanted to see me grow. I remember the first convo he had, he goes, I don't want to charge you anything to start actually making money because I want to see you be successful and do well. But yeah, we strategically plan what was going to happen with the drop.
Mm.
So we go do this post this night, that night, and then on a Tuesday night, we'll post one more thing.
Yep.
And then it'll be stories at 6 o'clock, and then leading up to 7 p.m. we'll do another post, and then I'd have people waiting on my store ready for a few pairs. So.
Wow. So you're now taking a very considered, like a business approach to
Yeah,
the
3 steps
marketing.
ahead, man. Like making sure we're doing it properly, not just winging it.
Mm.
But yeah, man, the first time we sat down together, my website pretty much broke down because that's how many sales we done in 3 minutes.
Wow. That must be so cool, bro.
Bro, I was emotional. I was like, what the hell? I mean, it was funny then. I'm going, I made it. This is it.
Yeah.
I've done it. But yeah, I remember Nick, he's trying to shut down the website because I was brand new to it and I could only do like 5 pairs a week then
Yeah.
because it's time consuming for me.
Yeah.
And we got through 42 pairs in 3 minutes or something, 45. And he had to shut it down. And then we done it a month later, same concept with some Air Forces, and it was 80 pairs. and the Shopify's just going ding, 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 ding. And he's like, oh, what? And I
How
could see
mad
it.
is the little sound your
Bro,
phone
I leave
makes?
make sure my volume's always on because when it comes in, I'm like, yes, let's go. Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
When we were running the meal prep business, I think was it first on Shopify or we transitioned to Shopify?
We transitioned to Shopify because we were taking orders from Facebook DMs and just trusting people. And then we got it on WordPress, but that didn't really work. So then we transitioned to Shopify. And Tuesday night when orders closed, I would always leave my phone on loud.
How good is it?
So I'd be watching TV and be like, ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be fair, like at the start, it was the best part of the week, but eventually it transitioned because as the overheads of the business, I guess, increased, we needed to start hearing more dings.
Yeah, I know.
And you'd be watching TV and you'd tune out and you'd be like, we haven't heard any dings.
Yeah.
This hour. Like, T, quick, check it.
Yeah.
But no, it is a very cool thing. I just want to zoom in on what Nick said to you. He said, I don't want to charge you until you have started making money. I think it's a big thing in the creative space. I think there are people that like do or have similar approaches to what Nick says, but I think there are a lot of people that do want to sort of charge at every turn.
Yeah.
But for me, it's one of the most successful traits that I've seen in people when they see some value in someone or they see some talent in someone, they actually want to see that person progress because they actually value the network more than they value the transactional sort of sale that could be there at the time. You've probably got like you obviously have a better relationship with Nick. We've only kind of just met him recently, but did you want to kind of give an insight as to how important that is to say to someone when you actually see some real value, hey, let me do this for free, and then what can come off the back of that?
Bro, he doesn't like me saying this, but without him involved in my stuff, it wouldn't have worked. And I know that facts. So I owe him a lot when it comes to my business and what I have now. But yeah, at the beginning, I was like, what, actual? Because his content was amazing.
Yes.
And he was working with some serious big
Names.
hitters and names. still does. And at the time, I was like, "What's actual, bro?" He goes like, "Yeah, like this is gonna work, bro. You just watch." And I only had 2,000 followers, and in my head, followers was everything. Then it's like you got to have 10,000 followers to make 10,000 sales. Now it doesn't mean nothing,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, he was like, "You'll have 10K followers by the end of the year."
Yeah.
And I had it 3 months after that.
It's so good.
Yeah, so it was just all that was happening, and for him to do that for me was huge because he would feel the same way. Us working together, so what happened was we worked together, and then 3 months later I moved in. So I think what could be better with two single lads working together non-stop. Let's see what we can do.
Yep.
And we didn't.
Oh, you guys been in the same like residential property?
Right, we lived in the same house after
Oh,
3 months.
wow, there you go.
We thought because we just wanted to
Yeah.
make stuff happen, and it was exciting.
That's mad.
And we moved in together, and we didn't stop.
That's
we did
cool.
not stop, and yeah, man. Now, like ever since meeting each other, bro, endless opportunities. But it's because of us together. Our energy and our mentality matches to what's going on around us,
Yeah.
and all these opportunities now
That's
come
awesome,
by all the time. So yeah, it's massive,
The
man.
network is so important.
Exactly,
Hey?
yeah.
Yeah. So, did you want to chime in, TT?
Oh, I just want to bring it back to the creative process. When you first started getting like making the custom shoes, how long did it take for you to actually perfect like the lines and actually hand making them? Because I saw a video on your page and you're there like with the sewing machine, and I'm like, if you started this at 21, were all your mates like, bro, why do you have a sewing machine?
So
Like,
I didn't.
would
get
that be lame to
No.
other people?
I didn't get my first actual. So when I first started, I wasn't sewing,
Right.
bro. The customs weren't that good. I thought they were the bee's knees.
Mm.
So they weren't good at all. I still have my first pair of Air Forces and Vans that I made that are custard. They're terrible. And it wasn't until a few years after, or during COVID when it started to pop, I started noticing a customer go, "Oh, bro, this is like peeling a little bit and that." And this is me being straight up. It wasn't good enough. And I wasn't charging as much as I do now because I thought, yeah, this will do. It's marked up. I can make X amount, still make the customer happy, and still love what I do. But yeah, it wasn't good enough. So I had to go, bro, if this is going to be a thing, you need to kick yourself up the butt and actually spend some more money to make your product the best it can be.
Yep.
You're better than that. Let's have a crack. And it wasn't until a few years ago where I had my first sewing machine. I had a guy, Ian, who teaches me how to do that.
Yep.
He still helps me to this day, helping me when I'm really busy, and he still does. He's the man. He's king, so man, he's so good at what he does. But yeah, so originally first starting, they weren't good enough, T. They were so bad. That was so bad. And I'm going, even when I look back at them now, I'm like, ugh, I can't believe I sold those. I can't believe I sold those. But what I did do is I contacted every customer that didn't stitch, and I said, let me stitch those, please, for free. Can you send them back for me? I'll pay you for your shipping. I'd like to stitch those. And I sent them back. Yeah.
That's huge. Yeah.
So that's what I done.
That's something that we would do in business as well. It's just like it costs you, and all it does is improve your name. But as soon as you realize how much like a personal brand, a personal reputation, a personal name means, you know that that's actually a real minimal cost.
Bro, goes a long way. I even had this material that I used a few years ago. And bro, if you looked at this material, you're going, this is amazing. I wore that shoe thinking it's not leather. It was more like a plasticky kind of material. And then it started to bubble. And I was freaking out because I sold a few pairs of those. And I'm going, these are bubbling, man. Like, if they're mine are bubbling, I look after my shoes. I know, I'm not saying it's all customers, but a lot of customers just like to just wear them as much as they can and get their use. Bro, I was freaking out, so I done it again. Emailed every customer. I said, please let me change it to another material that I have on me. And this is what I have because I think this is not going to work out. You paid this amount of money. I'd like to make sure it ends on a good note with my sale to you. So I've done the same thing. This was during COVID.
What was the response from that?
Oh, yeah, great. Yeah, I've noticed a little bit here. I'm like, yep, send them back. And they're like, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. And yeah, man, I noticed those little things, staying engaged with your customer as basically like family members because they're having your product that you've made and put love and time into is huge. It goes a long way.
Yeah.
I still do it to this day. Like, I'm not perfect. If I have a lot on, I sit there for hours trying to make it perfect, but there could be something off with the original shoe, or I haven't seen a mark in the material that I'm used.
Mm.
I'll change it. I'll get it sorted.
It's
I've always been
awesome,
like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
I don't know what the exact ratio is because I guess it always changes, but there's something like if someone has a positive experience with your service or your product or your business, they might tell 4 other people about it.
Yeah,
And if they
right.
have a
Yeah.
negative review, it's like 11 on average. And so because we knew this, one of the most powerful things is when a business makes a mistake and they overcompensate to make sure that that customer's happy. It doesn't become like a 4 to 11 type thing. It's something like 21 plus or something.
Yeah, right.
It's just like a disproportionate amount because I guess everyone is either happy or not happy based on the expectation that they had prior to transacting with you. And so when you have a chance to overcompensate for a mistake that could be, seen as
Minimal, yeah.
minimal or maybe even foreseeable,
Yeah.
the benefit that you can get off the back of it, especially in the way of improving your personal brand or your business's brand, it's just it offers like a disproportionate result.
Yeah.
And so the fact that you're doing that, it sounds like a small thing, but I'm telling you, like most people in business, they don't do it because all they see it as is a cost.
Yeah, of course.
I got to pay for
I've made a loss here now.
my time, the material,
Bro,
and it's just
the
like,
losses in the long run, right? Like you're saying, if that's that many people, what is it, 11? Bro, I've never heard that before.
yeah, the stats are pretty crazy. And so imagine someone dropping, $1,000 on a pair of shoes, $900, whatever it might be, and they get a bad result. Do you know what I mean? Like all small business owners know right now, someone leaves a negative Google result on your page, how much it like eats you up. You can have 50 positive ones, you get one negative one, and you're thinking about it later that night. What about someone drops like that amount of money on a pair of shoes and then they're not quite happy? The fact that you're willing to go back and like make that that customer happy, I think is awesome because as we were talking before, your personal brand is a major reason as to why you can do what you do because there's plenty of people, like there's plenty of copycats, right?
Yeah.
So obviously you knew that like improving your personal brand by keeping those customers happy is the actual thing that you end up using to leverage the whole working side of your business because when people buy from you, they're going to go drop $1,000 on a pair of shoes. They know that you're using the highest quality. There's plenty of people that could use other materials which they could probably produce a large amount of volume with, but when they buy from Bombr, they know that they're getting the best quality and that it's not just a lesser form of, I guess, product that could easily be replicatable.
Yeah.
And that's all behind personal brand. Like you go try like do what he's doing tomorrow, it's not going to work half as well because they don't have that trust. And trust is, I guess, synonymous with personal brand. And so I think the fact that you had the foresight at like a young age, really, and I guess not a huge amount of experience in business, that you were like, no, I need to do this right because you know how much personal brand means.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that's huge. And so I guess where to now? Like what is like the next stage, I guess? I mean, I think what you're doing now is probably sustainable because you're creating one-on-ones and limited editions are always going to be something that people value.
Yeah.
But what is on the cards?
Well, we talk about scalable. There's only one of me and my good friend Ian who helps me. But yeah, I want to have a scalable business where it's generational. I want the Bombr and the Marshall last name to be involved in sneaker and clothing for generations to come.
Yeah.
So it's transitioning now from what I've learned here into that next step and form of business. And hopefully have my own sneaker worldwide and also merchandise and apparel, So
Wow, so some big goals.
yeah, man.
And so when you say your own sneaker, you mean manufacturing your own sneaker?
Yeah, so I've manufactured my own sneaker in Portugal because I wanted to use the best of the best levers, midsole soles. So anyone who knows luxury brands, they start in Europe.
Yep.
Italy's, Portugal, Spain's, all that. So yeah, man, I looked for years and there's a brand that I look up to and that's called Axo Arigato. They're mad. So I look up to their brand and I'm like, I need to find their manufacturer. And I looked for, I reckon 2 years and I found where they started. A little guy in Portugal. And yeah, man, their family shop is like old and I'm trying to use the correct term here, but
It's like authentic.
and
yeah.
it's like, there's been years of hard work and grit in there. I thought, yeah, nah, these guys are the ones to start with. But
It's I guess not mass production. Like if you wanted an Italian pizza, you're not going to Cranides.
Yep.
You're going to a little corner shop somewhere in
and
Italy.
that's exactly where they are. They can't do thousands of pairs, but they can do 100 for me, and at a top quality. But yeah, so linked up with these guys over there and got my first few samples. I'm very happy. It's just now, which I've spoke to you guys about, is seeing the logistics side of it and working out that to make it sustainable and not just having all my cash tied up in stock and whatnot.
Yep.
Like it's all well and good having my sneaker out here, but if I'm not making my money back, there's no point doing it.
And managing cash flow in business is
It's
like
hard.
one of the biggest things. I remember I started working at Athlete's Foot, so I'm definitely up to date with the sneaker
You're a
game.
sneaker guy.
They're
There's the guy
amazing.
wearing slides today in the podcast.
I knew this was a safe option. I'm like, I can't get in trouble for my shoes if I'm not wearing any.
Yeah, for the listeners or people watching, Steve walks in and he's wearing slides and socks, and I'm like, "You're not wearing those." And he goes, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Do you know who we're interviewing today?"
What's at the end, bro?
They'll be on show next time.
There you go.
Yeah, so at Athlete's Foot, there was a guy working there, and he's still there now, and I think he's like a pretty major player. They're a big brand, obviously. And I asked him because I was just like, this is before I opened the first store, and I kind of looked to him. I'm like, that's an intelligent dude. I want to go learn something of him. And so I said, oh, what are the 2 or 3 things that you could teach me that I need to know if I want to get into business? And he goes, never be out of stock of your bestseller, and cash flow is the thing that kills businesses, or lack of cash flow. And so I guess for the people that are listening, the younger people, because it's probably, I guess, more relevant to them, when you go manufacture your own shoe or your own anything, there's so many upfront costs, and you are really like, it's a huge outlay because you don't really know what the demand is prior. I mean, you could probably go to the stage of producing your own sample, getting a finished product, doing some marketing and taking all pre-orders, but we're in an island in the middle of nowhere, and people, when they make an impulsive purchase, which is probably when you go drop $1,000 on a pair of shoes, probably got to be in a good mindset to be doing it. Not to say that yours will be 1,000, but they could be.
Yeah.
They are limited edition, and they are from Portugal, so that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But where was I heading with that? Putting a lot of money into something that you don't necessarily have pre-orders for, like, it can really mean that you can't do a lot of, potentially other customized lines at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's always like a balancing act when you're in business. Like, you want to go and move into a new project, but you don't want to be sacrificing, something that is continual cash flow that is giving you the potential to do that other thing.
Yeah, exactly.
We've experienced that a lot, like in our retail stores. We've got a lot of vertical lines that are, some things that we've manufactured, and you've got to be so careful, right? Because there's seasonal trends with retail. 100%. And if you're going to go do a new project, like one of the lines that we'll talk about, I guess in another podcast, it's about a $60,000 startup cost for us just to do a completely new category in store. And so like, that's a decent amount of money. Like, we could probably do 5 other smaller grade deals with other distributors, with those funds. But when you want to do something and it's exciting to you and you're passionate, there's obviously, a decent amount of upfront costs that you might have to, bite. But you don't want to do that at the expense of, I guess, the other business operations that are currently running. So it is like a huge business move, man. It's a big thing to tackle.
I know how much it involves to get some, because I think about this a lot. Like, people love my customs, and I'm grateful for it. But how much would they actually like my new sneaker?
There's some risk to it.
Because there's a risk to it, because I might need a whole new demographic. I don't know. This is deep water for me, but I like being there.
Yeah.
It's exciting, and I like to take that risk, and whatever happens. It doesn't work. I'll just go against someone else. I know I can make something work.
And you can always do research to kind of like minimize the risk a little bit, but there's always going to be an element of risk. And usually if you ask your friends and family, hey, should I do this thing? They're all going to say, of course you should. We did like a blind taste test with the product that we were going to produce. Because when I had tasted the product that we have made ourselves, I was like, bro, this is mad. But I'm like, I didn't want to be romantic about it, because I was like, I just want to see this thing like happen. And so I'm like, I can't even trust my own taste buds here. And so you go and like ask other people, hey, like, what do you think of this product? And you almost have to say, Well, the reason why we did a blind taste test is because they couldn't know which
Yeah.
of our products was
Like a
ours.
non-biased decision.
Yeah, you want non-biased information, and
Yeah.
sometimes you want that critical person to be like, "Hey, bro, I don't know if you should be doing this type thing." But it's hard to find that in business. It's hard to get a network that just won't, be so supportive and positive of you, because that's it's a valuable thing to have those people in your corner. But you also want those people to be like, "Hey, bro, like maybe to have a double check on this,"
Yeah.
without sounding like they're trying to, I guess, pull you back in any sort of way or
Yeah.
be negative towards you.
I think having someone like that around you is good. Nick is my guy, and like I'm the same with him. He'll be going, "What do you reckon about this?" And I'll say this, and he'll be like, "Bro, I reckon if just be have a look out this, or see if you can suss this out," and making sure you got every corner covered. Like when it comes to having a risk involved like that, what I'm doing or what anyone else is doing in their businesses.
Yeah.
You need someone like that
Have those
all
people
the
in your
time.
corner, 100%.
because that honesty can go a long way.
Mm.
And I found that's what helped me get to where I am now, as well as having someone who stands and plays devil's advocate on a lot of things and go, "Look, I'm just going to play devil's advocate. This is what I think could happen. This is what I reckon, and that's the best thing." You know?
Managing risk.
Yeah, that's right. So
That's awesome. TT?
Yeah, I want to say something. I know that you're coming out with your new shoe. Obviously, when you look at the current shoes that you customize, you obviously choose like a base shoe that a lot of people already like the style of. When it comes to creating your own shoe without giving too much away, do you feel like the market is looking for like a different type of style just because you've got like your main brands that have been around for like such a long time? Are you going to try and come out with like, I guess like a new style that people might be like looking for? Or is it going to be kind of like similar shapes to some of your best sellers, if that makes sense?
yeah, I get you. I think like when it comes to fashion, you guys will notice this as well. It just becomes, it's like a full circle thing. It happens. It could be every 10 years. These fashion trends keep coming back and forth, back and forth. Like now we're in the trends of loose pants and cargos. You go back 2 years ago, skinny jeans and Vans, But yeah, so personally at the moment, I'm making what I'd wear.
Yep.
And if I wouldn't wear it, why am I making it? And then at the same time, I know what's trending. So I'll take a bit of everything here and then chuck it all together and see what I can come up with. Because, yeah, I feel like when it comes to fashion and stuff like that, people have this thing in their subconscious that they know that's cool. But they don't realize they've seen something similar, that sole or that upper, 1,000 times before coming to my product. So having all these initial things and putting it into my own thing, I know there's a high possibility that it could work because of that reason alone. But yeah, I usually make what I like, but at the same time, I'm taking love and reference from all these other brands that I love as well.
Yeah.
So, and I noticed that other brands do it too. And people aren't dumb. So I don't want to get in trouble here, but Nike would do a dunk. 2 months later, Adidas have the similar silhouette.
Yeah.
Puma have the silhouette now. You will now see this when you go to the shops, and the listeners might see it too. Nike Dunk was one of the best sellers for the last 2 years. Still pretty much trending. New Balance, Adidas, Puma, Reebok, all have similar silhouettes now. Similar because they know that's targeting someone's mind and their dopamine because they've got something similar to what they can't have. So it is what it is. I'll have this one rather than that $700 shoe, and that's sometimes it works for other people, but a lot of brands do that now. They just take reference from each other.
I remember my mum used to always say to me, "Oh, that looks trendy," and it used to be always like in reference to fashion, right? Like what is on trend, and now that's where we talk about what is on trend, and it can be an amazing skill to be able to like identify trends as they come along. A very monetizable skill. I don't know if you remember, like I think the first time I really saw, I guess, someone start a trend, I think was Paris Hilton, and she was wearing like a Von Dutch hat.
Bro, have you studied that? Like, have you done some research on?
No, it's just something I'd kind of looked at, like as an observation.
All he done was got all the celebrities wearing it. He had little to none marketing campaigns, and just had celebrities wearing it. People didn't know; they just wanted to have what Paris Hilton had.
Yeah.
And it was just bang, they wear it. But yeah, she did start the trend because that's what I watched a YouTube video about that.
And so I must have been in year 6, I think, noticing that because I'd always like wanted to find like what's on trend, and it's actually a massive part of what T does. She's had like some pretty crazy like views on her reels and stuff, but Gary Vee always refers to this. He calls it platform and culture. And it's just like, is that not just another word for what's on trend?
Yeah,
And
what's
it's just like
relatable.
going on these social platforms and seeing when trends are going to start to reform again. And that these are the type of skills that are like are very valuable in like today's age. I think like I've seen like the whole juicy like pants coming back where you got juicy written
Bro,
across the bum.
remember those?
I would have sworn that that was never coming back.
If I went on a date years ago and a girl walked up with those respectfully, I'm going, it's been a pleasure. I'm going home.
Yeah, and like maybe asking like, is there any invoice attached with like this service? Like,
But no, this to Juicy. Their brand, they know what works and they can make sales, right?
that's crazy. When you can look at something and go, no way that's working again, and it ends up
Crazy.
working. It's
Ed
just
Hardy?
like, bro.
Do you remember how loud and obscene Ed Hardy shirts were 10 years ago?
Yep.
I'm going, there's no way you're wearing it. And then my best mate was wearing an Ed Hardy shirt. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, how's this happening? It's like,
Yeah.
it's like a kid's coloring book
Yeah.
on you.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on?
I don't know.
And then all of a sudden you get to that stage, you're like, should I get one though?
Exactly.
And it's
And how that gets you, doesn't it?
I have no idea how it works.
Yeah, it's insane. I just think it's got to do, and I study just the psychological stuff that happens with people.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole supply and demand as well, all involved with that kind of stuff that really, really makes people tick.
I don't know if we said this in one of our last podcasts when we were talking about marketing things, but I remember seeing, I don't know if it was the UK drillers first or maybe some of the Aussie drillers. I started seeing them wear the Gant.
And Stone Island.
Yeah, well, I think I picked Stone Island coming over from the UK for a little while.
Stone
before
Island,
that.
nah, bro. It's
Yeah.
cute. Me, myself, so I met Johnny Evans, who was hanging around us in COVID.
Yep.
He, like, I always knew Stone Island because I was in England. All the casual football
Yes.
hooligans would wear Stone Island because that was the way they don't get in trouble because they look sharp.
Yes.
You know, they don't, oh, he's not wearing track joggers and track pants. I know he's not a hooligan, but they were because they dress smart these days with Stone
100%.
Island, Defila tops, Sergio Tencini, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we noticed, oh, bro, this is Stone Island's trending. And he
Yeah.
goes, bro, look at this. And he had like 3 or 4 hoodies with
Yes.
a little patch.
Yes.
And now, wow, me and Nico just ordered 2 pairs of cargo pants and he's got a couple hoodies on the way as well.
There you go.
So he actually bought me a Stone Island hoodie for my birthday 2 years ago. And then my missus bought me a hat.
Wow.
And I was like, bro, this is cool, man.
I-
But yeah.
I think my uncle might have given me a Stone Island shirt when I was about 14 or something. And so then I was just aware that the brand existed. And then I think we were watching Green Street Hooligans.
That's it, yeah.
And I think it's Pete Dunham. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
He's the
With the
character in the
GSC.
movie.
Yeah,
that's
West
it.
Ham.
And he's got the big trench coat.
Yeah.
That's the Stone
The
Island.
beige one.
Yes. And that's where I started coming across it. And then I think it was about 3 years ago, I go, this is going to 100% hit Australia. And every single time I'd see someone wear it, I'd send her a screenshot and she'd be like, yeah. And then all of a sudden, we're really starting to see kick in now. And then the same thing happened when I saw these Aussie drillers start wearing Gant. This is a brand I'd been wearing for ages because back in the day, like all your little lads would.
Yeah, Gant, Nautica.
Yeah, you'd have kind of
Canterbury.
Nordic would be the low level, then you'd
Yeah.
have Ralph and you'd have Gant, and then you'd have Sergio Tacchini.
Yeah.
And I hadn't had anyone like talk about Sergio. And I was like, I'm telling you, if we're seeing Gant now, we're going to see like a resurgence of this Sergio brand. And all of a sudden, about 12 months later, we saw Ray's Locker come out with a huge
I'd say Ray had his hat here the other day.
Sergio
Yeah,
drop.
Yeah.
And I'd even started like a little business like called Premium Threads. I wanted to do the online thing, and I'd contacted all the distributors to see how we can get Nautica, how we can get Lacoste, and they've got their exclusive distribution route. So I was like, oh, what about parallel importing where you buy it from America and sell it here?
Yeah.
And you can do it, but you just can't advertise like the actual brand names. And so there's
Yeah,
a way
right.
that you can do it, but it's a little bit like it's hard.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I kind of like let that dream die, but it was all off the back. I'm like, I know Sergio is going to like make a reappearance. So seeing someone like Ray's Locker do it and watch it blow up, I was just like, bro, like
Yeah.
being able to
it's
pick it
mad
2 or
seeing
3
that.
years before it happens is such a critical part.
I know now Adidas kind of slumped off a bit massively because of the Nike Dunks and the Jordans.
Yeah.
But now the Sambas are making a return.
Okay.
And I was talking to Nick and we both agreed the other day that Adidas will trend by the end of the year again. They
Wow.
will trend because resellers are jumping on Sambas now.
Wow. Okay.
And yeah, I made a custom pair for Stephen Crichton, a good mate of ours, the other day. And I'm sponsored by Adidas. He's like, oh, what is? I said, bro, guarantee these are gonna trend. And then I see on all these websites, all these resellers are now selling Sambas for $350.
Wow.
You know, so Yeah, it's funny how trends work, man. But I remember a funny story. I went back to England and I saved up $300, 150 quid. And I'm going into Stone Island store thinking, yeah, gotta get a pair of these fresh trackies. Let's go. Thinking they're gonna be,
Would have been bought you a pair of socks probably.
bro, not even. What swing tag or something. Going to look at these trackies and going, one day it was like £600 on it.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, for the set, I was like, bro, nah.
It's crazy, like especially when you go into the manufacturing space, to think that you could get to a level where you charge that. It's yeah.
There's a
it's-
book. There's a chapter that in the Christo. Have you heard of him?
No.
He's a graphic designer in the US. and-
Christo. Yes,
Oh,
you
Chris
do.
Doe. I
Yeah.
thought you said Chris Toe.
Nah,
And I was like
Christo.
waiting for the last
Yeah,
one.
nah, he's the man. Once again, Nick showed me this guy, and I read his book. We read it at the same time. And there's a chapter that I printed off, and I had it on my wall for years, and it's like think like Gucci.
Mm.
And it's like selling a product and making sure that product's pristine.
Mm.
If you put a price on that product and you've got the marketing and everything else to back it,
Yes.
you stay at that price, it's going to sell.
Yeah.
You're going to attract those customers
Mm.
that want that product, and that's your niche. It's going to come to you anyway.
Yeah.
So never change to cater for other people,
Yes.
because the demographic is there and it
You-
always will happen.
You just have to do the work to be able to resonate
Yes,
for
exactly.
that tier.
Yeah.
Because I remember listening to a lot of Christo stuff, and he used to annoy me, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Because he'd be like, why can't you charge $50,000 for a logo?
Yeah.
I'm like, because I'm no one.
Yeah.
Like, who's gonna pay that? But I think even like speaking to Nick, it probably gave me a better understanding of how it really looks like in real life. He's elevated his personal brand, I think, through association, and then obviously through the work that he's produced as well. And I think he is at that sort of tiering now where it's like he gets to name his price because of who he is,
Bro,
and it's so relevant.
he's got the receipts.
Mm.
You know, sometimes he doesn't do it anymore, but he used to back in the day question it. Like, oh, am I worth it? I'm like, bro, there's no one on your level.
Yeah.
When you're making top tier content, you hold leverage.
Yes.
So you charge what you have
and just
to.
waiting till you're into that space, because it can happen if you stay dedicated for long
Exactly.
enough.
And who works non-stop? He doesn't have a day off in years.
Yeah.
So
But I think it's like where I've seen like a lot of boss babes start selling courses, like, and they've never actually run a business. It's just your ability to sell education to the next person. It's
Yeah.
almost like a pyramid scheme. And I think that's why it annoyed me, because I'm charging $5,000 for this course. I'm like, but you've never run a business before. And then, if he came out of course for like a videography based course, we're already in our space, but I'd 100% pay the $5,000 if that's what the course costs because of who he is.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference, right? Like, wait till you've got that foundation, that backing.
yeah, of course.
And then resonate with a particular part of the market.
Yeah.
And now it becomes so much more real that you're having, I guess, proximity to these people that could charge that way, and you almost feel worth it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a real thing. It's just like there are different tiers of customers and different segments that will pay certain prices for things.
Yeah.
I mean, you've obviously experienced that with your business.
Yeah.
And it's like they do exist, but you just need to be the person or be a valuable enough person that you can ask those prices.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Yeah, 100% on the ball with that one, bro.
So the manufacturing side of things, very cool. What sort of time frame we thinking? We thinking this is a project that will take as long as it needs?
Inflation, brother. That's all I'm saying. Inflation.
It's
How
real,
bad
right?
is it?
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, I don't just want my cash. Because people aren't waiting 3 months for a pre-sale here.
Yeah.
Like even now, my customers are 2 to 4 week turnarounds because I order my stock upon the customer's order,
Yep.
knowing that they're gonna get a one-on-one item. They know I'm gonna hand make it, so that's fair.
Yep.
But for a pair that's already manufactured, if you're buying it, you need it.
Yep.
That week, you know.
So, say someone wants to make a gift for someone. Do you do like for customized orders, or you only do drops?
And I do customized orders every now and again.
Cool. So
Depends if I have time. If
Yeah.
I'm mid drop, like I can't do it. It's not possible. Like there's so much going on. But if there's some time that's free, or if it's a ongoing customer who's bought already 4 or 5 pairs, I'm doing it for them. Of course,
sure.
I'll make the time for them. But yeah, even people give me their own bags that I don't use anymore, and I'll repurpose them. I've done it for a good mate of ours who owns a Sydney luxury hire company
Mad.
and the work, and I like doing that as well. So that's pretty cool. So
Cool.
Yeah,
So
another
we'll
little
have all
additional.
Bombers links down below, and there you go. Like if you want like a custom piece of work, hopefully we can put up some pictures. If not, there'll be the links where you can find his products and whatnot. But yeah, that's awesome, man. If people want customized work, definitely hit you up. And
I want to say a question. Going back to the custom sneakers. I forget the word. It's not trademark, but it's something else. But when you create the actual design, can you put like a thing on it where people can't replicate that design? What's the word? It's like not a trademark, but like a
yeah, it's something that you file, like a patent for like that particular type
a
of design.
patent. The shoe.
Oh, you mean for his
For
shoes?
my shoe?
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
of
100%.
course.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you meant for like
I'm like,
a TN drop. I'm
No.
like,
You guys were looking at me. I'm like, that's not a dumb question.
that's a very good question. But yeah, 100%.
of course.
You can.
I've
Okay,
read
cool.
I've read bits of Shoe Dog, but I've read the Reebok story, and they go through chapters on that.
Oh, that's cool.
About they put in trademark on
Yeah.
their silhouette, just in case Adidas want to do it. But you see it now, like I said to you about the Dunks. All they have to
People can
change is what,
copy it.
30%,
Yeah, exactly.
30% to make it theirs.
Sometimes less, I think, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's like,
And the thing is, this is that whole first mover advantage and having personal brand. Like, if you're first to it and people love it and they resonate with it, and you've got personal brand, you've got trust, and people are happy to transact with you, like, I don't even know that a patent matters that much.
nah.
I mean, I could be speaking out of turn, but I think we've seen enough people replicate real
Yeah.
similar styles.
Because with shoe collectors, I'm not in that space, so I don't know. Like, let's just say people who collect like Nike Dunks. If Adidas come out with a similar pair, the collectors wouldn't look at them and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna get one of those because I like the silhouette." They'll just see it as, "Oh, you guys are copying."
Yes.
Right. Okay.
So the
cool.
best way to do it is to make sure it's still your own flavor,
Mm.
with the same time saying, like, there's a brand represent in England that we love as well. Two brothers, and they openly say that we take the best products from companies and make it even better.
Mm.
That's the difference. So that's when they can go, yeah, I'll cop this because it's probably even better than this dunk that I have.
Yeah.
When you see the silhouettes that have just been bang, oh yeah, I'll just take this, put the free straps on it, try and sell it. They don't work because it's not better. It's the same. But they're smart in terms of grabbing a product and making it 10 times better, and you can feel it straight away.
Mm.
So yeah, 100%.
And people pay for brand, right? I think that's like the whole part about the business. Like, I think if it's got that bomber feel to it and it's first to market.
But yeah, man, it's just the logistics side, which I'll probably sit down with you guys sooner rather than later and just pick your brains, which I like to do with a lot of people who are doing successful things around me, and see what the best solution is moving forward, because it's great. It's awesome being a creative, but then having that thing in the background when it comes to business and logistics and freight charges, bro, like logistic freight charges, like all that collectively, it takes its toll. So if I can cut a few corners in regards to, okay, I don't really need to read about this because Stephen's already done it with 5 businesses, like you're telling me about the, importing and stuff like that. It saves me a hell of a lot of time. And I can still be creative as well as just go skip that. I can go straight to that. Steve's already done it 10 times. He's made the mistakes. He's helping me out. I can get the ball rolling sooner rather than later. So, yeah.
100%. I mean, I don't want to like ruin our later discussion, but my first thought may be, depending on what the MOQs are with the manufacturer, it's all about negotiating, right? Because like it's just people at the end of the day. Potentially, if you did a brand for someone that would have a high amount of demand, again, I'm not huge into like, I guess the culture that I probably should be at our age, but say it was a 1-4 or someone of their equivalent. Again, I won't step on toes here. I know there's some heat around different like people, but say it was someone like that he had a huge following, and then if they dropped something, there'd be some pretty serious demand. If you came to them and said, hey, this is what I want to do for you, negotiate with the manufacturer.
I've had that in my head. And then what? And then you.
And then your part of the deal's negotiable.
Yes.
I'll get you 1,000 pairs here. I just need 100, and I need this to be at a certain price.
That's right.
So use someone else's demand to get the vision to start rolling.
I like that.
And then obviously people with money are happy to pay for all the little expenses, and you just cut your costs down based on the same way.
Yeah, of course. That's very smart. I like that.
But we can explore lots of options.
A lot of years to come. I know there's a good friendship here, so excited to see where everything goes.
Easy. Appreciate the talk, brother. It was great to have you on.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate you.
Thanks, man.
Cut. That was good.
Oh.